Let us pause for a moment and direct our attention towards your feline companion. It is highly probable that at this very instant, your cat is immersed in slumber. Whether it is basking languidly in a sunbeam upon the plush upholstery of your sofa, or perhaps sprawled in a state of complete surrender across the very keyboard upon which you now type, its current disposition is one of profound tranquility. A creature that appears to be the very epitome of peace, embodying a delightful indolence, and seemingly devoid of any malicious intent. Over the extensive span of several thousand years, humanity has meticulously cultivated an idealized persona for these creatures. A companion that is simultaneously self-reliant and deeply affectionate, a living, breathing manifestation of domestic serenity and contentment. However, it is incumbent upon us, as inquisitive beings, to engage in the act of questioning. We are compelled to pose those inquiries that may prove to be somewhat discomfiting, and the most pertinent and pressing of these is undoubtedly the following. What if this meticulously constructed image represents, in fact, the most extraordinarily successful act of deception ever perpetrated in the annals of history? What if, concealed beneath the deceptive veneer of the cuddly, indolent creature we perceive, there resides an organism whose innate predatory instincts, remarkable cognitive abilities, and formidable physical prowess have been, by our own estimation, drastically and profoundly underestimated? We are hereby initiating a formal investigation. The primary subject of our rigorous examination will be none other than the ubiquitous and familiar domestic cat, scientifically classified as Felis catus. Our overarching objective is to meticulously delineate between the comforting, often sentimentalized myths that have become inextricably intertwined with our perception of these animals, and the stark, unvarnished facts, which may, in all likelihood, prove to be rather unsettling. Throughout the entirety of this comprehensive inquiry, we shall meticulously scrutinize all available evidence and carefully consider all pertinent testimonies in our earnest endeavor to address a singular, fundamental question. Who, precisely, is this entity with whom we share our lives? Prepare yourself, for the very initial piece of evidence we shall present is poised to fundamentally alter your perception of the everyday sounds that permeate your existence. Let us commence our exploration with what is arguably the most immediately apparent indicator, the ubiquitous vocalization we commonly refer to as the meow. We are accustomed to hearing this sound with remarkable frequency, often dozens of times within the course of a single day. The cat expresses its desire for sustenance with a plaintive meow. It articulates its demand for egress or ingress with an insistent meow. It communicates its yearning for your undivided attention with, as you have undoubtedly surmised, yet another meow. It is, therefore, a seemingly logical and straightforward assumption that this vocalization represents their inherent and natural method of interspecies communication. However, it is precisely at this juncture that our investigation encounters its inaugural conceptual paradox. Scientific observations, conducted with meticulous care, reveal that adult cats existing in their natural wild habitats almost invariably refrain from employing the meow vocalization when interacting with one another. Their established form of communication is a sophisticated and intricate repertoire comprising a complex array of hisses, guttural growls, sharp snorts, and an extensive vocabulary of subtle, nuanced body language. The meow, in stark contrast, is overwhelmingly, and almost exclusively, a sound associated with infancy, a vocal tool utilized by very young kittens for the purpose of communicating their needs and vulnerabilities to their maternal caregiver. However, the moment a kitten matures and transitions into adulthood, this particular vocalization remarkably vanishes from its established adult lexicon. This phenomenon holds true with a single striking exception: the singular instance where a human presence is detected. This observation compels us to formulate a compelling hypothesis that necessitates rigorous testing. Is the meow a uniquely developed and refined instrument, a sophisticated communicative tool that felines have meticulously honed and perfected specifically for the purpose of influencing and manipulating us? A capability forged over countless millennia of evolutionary adaptation and refinement? Scientific research unequivocally supports this assertion. Esteemed scientists affiliated with Cornell University have, through their dedicated investigations, ascertained that the precise frequency range of a cat's pleading meow typically oscillates between 220 Hz and 520 Hz. This frequency range is astonishingly proximate to the frequency spectrum of a human infant's cry, which characteristically fluctuates between 300 Hz and 600 Hz. Our own neurological frameworks are intrinsically predisposed to interpret such sounds with an immediate sense of alarm and an innate, deeply ingrained impulse to provide assistance and comfort. It would appear, therefore, that cats have, with remarkable efficacy, deciphered and mastered the intricate code of human emotional and physiological responses. They are not, in essence, engaging in direct communication with us. Rather, they are adeptly triggering an ancient, deeply embedded caregiving instinct that resides within our very being. And, as empirical experience consistently demonstrates, this strategy proves to be exceptionally effective, time and time again. The subsequent piece of critical evidence to be presented in the unfolding narrative of our investigation pertains to the cat's extraordinary capacity for movement. A cat can seemingly materialize from an unseen location, appearing as if from nowhere. It executes silent, graceful leaps onto elevated surfaces such as cupboards, and subsequently descends to the floor with an absolute absence of any audible sound. These actions often create the impression that the creature is somehow defying the fundamental laws of both gravity and acoustics. However, once again, there is no discernible element of the supernatural at play here, merely the cold, calculated efficacy of evolutionary adaptation and the embodiment of perfect biomechanical engineering. We are, in essence, meticulously prying open the black box of its anatomical design and functionality. The inaugural mechanism contributing to this pervasive conspiracy of silence resides within its remarkably engineered paws. In stark contrast to the paws of a canine, whose footfalls we readily perceive through the characteristic clicking sound of their unsheathed claws, the feline strategically conceals its formidable weaponry. Its claws are ingeniously retracted within specialized dermal sheaths, and are deployed only at the precise moment of an offensive maneuver or for the essential purpose of gaining purchase and traction upon a surface. However, the truly pivotal piece of evidence lies within the composition and structure of its paw pads. These pads, characterized by their exceptional softness and remarkable resilience, function as highly sophisticated shock-absorbing mechanisms, effectively attenuating both sound and impact upon their contact with any given surface. The second, and indeed even more astonishing, intricate mechanism to be unveiled is the skeletal structure. In the case of human beings, the clavicles, commonly known as collarbones, are firmly and immovably affixed to the shoulder joint, thereby creating a robust and unyielding frame. Conversely, within the anatomy of a feline, the clavicle is but a minuscule, entirely detached bone, possessing no connection whatsoever to the remainder of its skeletal framework. This particular engineering marvel bestows upon its shoulders an extraordinary and unparalleled degree of freedom. This remarkable suppleness facilitates the cat's ability to compress its entire ribcage with remarkable ease, enabling it to effortlessly squeeze through any aperture, provided that its head can successfully navigate the passage. It is therefore hardly surprising that its whiskers, scientifically termed vibrissae, function as an integrated range-finding instrument. This sophisticated biological apparatus flawlessly ascertains the critical question: am I capable of fitting through this space or not? This is not a matter of mere intuition or guesswork. Rather, it represents the precise and calculated operation of a biological machine that appears to have artfully circumvented the fundamental laws of physics, all in pursuit of a singular, overarching objective: to achieve a state of absolute invisibility. As our exploration continues, we now approach the most profoundly mysterious phenomenon associated with these creatures: the act of purring. For any devoted human companion, the sound of purring is invariably perceived as the ultimate and most unambiguous signal, signifying that the feline is experiencing profound happiness, feeling entirely secure and safe, and that all aspects of its existence are in a state of perfect equilibrium. This resonant, vibrating sound has, for all intents and purposes, become inextricably synonymous with the very essence of contentment. However, as is often the case in any truly compelling investigation, anecdotal accounts from witnesses tend to diverge considerably, and the objective facts themselves compel us to critically re-examine and question this ostensibly simple and straightforward interpretation. Veterinary professionals from across the globe will readily attest to a rather peculiar and indeed, quite startling observation. Cats do not exclusively purr when they are in a state of elevated happiness. They are also observed to engage in this vocalization when enduring severe pain, when experiencing significant fear, and even during the final, fleeting moments of their lives. This specific and consistent observation completely and utterly dismantles the widely held happiness theory, thereby compelling us to diligently search for an alternative, and undoubtedly more profound, underlying reason for this behavior. This compelling evidence has led us to formulate and rigorously test a truly audacious and rather shocking theory. What if the act of purring is not primarily an outward expression of an internal emotional state, but rather a sophisticated and highly evolved biological tool? Physicists and specialists in the field of bioacoustics generously provide us with a crucial key to unlocking this enigma. The precise frequency of a domestic cat's purr typically fluctuates within a remarkably narrow range, oscillating between 25 and 150 Hz. Furthermore, extensive biomedical research has unequivocally demonstrated that it is precisely these low-frequency vibrations that possess a demonstrably therapeutic effect on living organisms. Specifically, these frequencies are known to actively promote the regeneration of damaged tissues, to significantly reduce levels of pain and inflammation, and to even stimulate a notable increase in bone density. It is entirely plausible that the enduring legend of felines possessing 9 lives may well have its origins in this remarkable biological capability. Therefore, it becomes abundantly clear that purring is far more than a mere sound. It is, in fact, an exceptionally effective and remarkably low-cost self-healing mechanism. It functions as an integrated built-in physiotherapy device, which the cat actively engages and deploys to facilitate a more rapid recovery from injury or to mitigate the effects of stress. What we, as observers, have so readily interpreted as a simple song of pleasure may, in reality, represent a highly complex and sophisticated internal repair program. Our comprehensive investigation has now reached its conclusion. We embarked upon this journey with a simple, yet persistent, doubt concerning the universally familiar image we hold of our beloved household pets. Now, having meticulously examined all the available evidence, we stand prepared to deliver our considered verdict. We have conclusively established that the common feline vocalization, the meow, functions not so much as a genuine form of language, but rather as a finely honed and deliberately cultivated tool for the manipulation of human beings, expertly exploiting our deepest and most fundamental instincts. We have irrefutably proven that the cat's characteristic silence is not a random occurrence, but rather the direct and intended result of intricate biomechanical adaptations that collectively transform it into the quintessential, perfectly invisible observer. Finally, we have presented compelling evidence that the act of purring is not merely a melodic expression of pleasure, but rather a sophisticated, built-in self-healing mechanism, operating at specific frequencies that modern medical science is only just beginning to comprehend and explore. Every single fact that we have diligently uncovered throughout the course of this investigation invariably points to one singular, overarching conclusion: the creature that peacefully dozes upon our laps is, in reality, far more complex and significantly more sophisticated than we have been accustomed to believing. It is not simply a pet in the conventional sense. It is, in fact, a highly efficient and remarkably capable organism, possessing an array of extraordinary superpowers, a secret and nuanced code of communication, and a hidden inner life about which we possess almost no true understanding. The definitive verdict of this thorough investigation is as follows: the complex and multifaceted case of the cat's double life is now officially closed. The subject of our inquiry is formally declared a veritable genius of disguise. We coexist alongside a creature that has artfully allowed us to maintain the illusion of being its masters. But in light of all that we have learned, is that perception truly an accurate reflection of reality? After thoroughly considering all the accumulated evidence, there is indeed substantial reason to harbor significant doubt. And perhaps, it is precisely this pervasive uncertainty that they have intended for us to experience all along.